Alright, what's going on, guys? Derek here again. Today is the same day that I'm filming my first thoughts on, but since I have such good momentum today, I'm just going to film another one on top of the first one I did on Dark Side Phil. If you guys didn't check that one out, I did do the first thoughts on Dark Side Phil. Is all the hate fair? Is all the hate that he gets fair or warranted? Or is it just a whole bunch of people just being salty? But today, we're going to do something different. Today, you actually saw I was holding some CDs. Today, my thoughts on is going to be on Green Day. Now, I have 3 albums here. I have Dookie, which everyone knows about. We got Nimrod. And we have American Idiot. Obviously, 3 of their biggest albums. Now, I'm going to put these aside for now. And I'm going to talk about, not about the albums themselves, I'm going to talk about the band. And I feel like Green Day are another type of entity that are both loved and hated by, the community of music and people in general. Now, I love Green Day. The reason I got all those CDs brand new is because I'm actually trying to get all their albums sealed. So that way when the new album comes out, I'm obviously going to buy that sealed. And I'm going to do a whole collection video and talk about each album. And I'm also going to do reviews of each albums for Derek's Discs when I get them. But right now I'm waiting to get Kaplunk so I can do them all in order. And I have Insomniac coming in the mail as well. That'll be here in a few days. So I should be able to get that squared away soon. But I'm actually going to talk about Green Day, the band themselves. Now, they get a lot of hate in the music industry because, they were once kind of heavy pop punk, rockers back in the early to mid 90s. And they have a lot of songs like that. Now, people generally don't like Billy Joel's voice sometimes. He is kind of, like, talking out of his nose sometimes. Like, he is very, snorty. His voice is kind of weird. It's very nasally. And a lot of people don't like that. But the other thing about the 90s, a lot of bands were coming out with, like, different stuff. The 90s was such a creative generation, decade of just stuff coming out. And Dookie was such a big album at the time. People just loved it, And people, even today, people, like, love listening. People who hate Green Day listen to Dookie. And I love Dookie. And also, I'm one of the people who love the trilogy of albums. Like, I love, other than Shenanigans and 1039 Smooth Slap Happy Hours, I loved all their records. All their albums are great. Even Warning, which with its different direction and folk rock influences and stuff, is a really good record. And now, obviously, they've, done different stuff over the years. They've experimented. They've had 2 rock operas. And I'm going to tell you guys something right now about Green Day. That I actually got into Green Day back in 2009, back when 21st Century Breakdown came out, and I listened to 21 Guns on VH1, back when they used to do, I don't know if they still do this or not, but they'd have like the 10 video, like the top 10 videos, and they have some person host it, and Green Day was like number 3, I think, or number 1, actually no, it was number 1 when I first watched it, and I fell in love with 21 Guns. The video is awesome, the song is great, and I picked up the album like a week or 2 later, and I loved 21st Century Breakdown, and to me, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I feel like 21st Century Breakdown is a better album than American Idiot. Because it's better better instrumentation. They have, more pianos and stuff in it. The songwriting I think is a little bit better than American Idiot. It's just a different time period, too. They're talking about the economy crashing and stuff, and talking about a whole bunch of stuff. American Idiot is pretty much just about, politics in one country and like other, like the war in Iraq and stuff. But 21st Century Breakdown is talking about a whole century. So like they meant even bigger and bolder with that album than ever before. And like I said, the instrumentation on that record is great. The lyrics, it just flows together really well. I mean, American Idiot is still a classic record. I love it still. But I don't know, just to me, 21st Century Breakdown, well, I guess the album that got me into them is just one of my favorite records from them to date. And it's like people always complain because they have like, a different sound than they used to. And it's like, well, it kind of happened with all bands, I mean, the new album is supposed to kind of go back to that raw sound that they were doing before. Back with Dookie and, even Kerplunk and Insomniac and stuff. And it's like, and that's good. I mean, people are still going to hate no matter what. You can't, please everybody. God, filming 2 of these in one day is going to be bad for my throat. Excuse me. Anyway, that thing about Green Day I love, though. There's so many different musical styles. Like, let's go through the albums real quick. You had, Kerplunk in that early era of Green Day. It was like raw punk, kind of pop punks, core in in the early '90s, and then you had Dookie and Insomniac. Dookie was like their big album, very pop punky. Had stuff like Longview, Basket Case, Welcome to Paradise. Most of the biggest hits are actually on Dookie. And then '95, they came out with Insomniac because people didn't think they could come out with a hardcore kind of heavy punk dark album, and they came out with that shit. And Insomniac is probably my second favorite Green Day record. It's just so good. You have so many good, catchy, dark punk songs on there, and it just flows so well. And it's one of those records you can listen to. And it's like, damn, this is a 30-minute burn album. And then they came out with Nimrod in '97. Now that album obviously had, which is what I have, it has Good Riddance Time of Your Life, which was like their main ballad. You can play that shit, late '90s, early 2000s, big song. But what I like about Nimrod the most is that Nimrod has so many different musical styles. You have punk, straight up punk. You have pop punk. You have a ska track. You have a ballad. You have surf rock influences. You have so much stuff. The album is 18 tracks. It's filled to the brim. Like, you feel that disc, it's filled to the brim with music. It's only like 50 minutes long, but it's so good. Like, all the tracks are great. Starts out great, it ends out great. From Nice Guy Finished Last all the way to, what was the last track on here? Prosthetic Head. I knew it was something like that. It's just great. And then Warning came out, and that album was like totally different. They're like maybe two punky kind of tracks, and that was it. And the rest of it was kind of like folk rock and like classic rock influences. They kind of went to like a different vibe with that record. And that record to me is still great because you have a lot of good songs on there. Not as good as like Nimrod or the early stuff. But the album is still really good. Like, I like it pretty much every track on it. The only track I really don't like on that too much is Misery. I feel like it's too long of a track, and they kind of draw it out. There's lots of instrumentation stuff, and it's different, and it's it's a cool track, but not one of my favorites. I usually would skip it. But the rest of the album is great. Like, Macy's Day Parade's an awesome ballad at the end, like a nice acoustic song. Waiting is in that same vein. Hold On, the acoustic kind of Beatles-inspired song. Like, I love it. And after that, we have the Shenanigans and the Greatest Hits kind of era when they weren't really recording anything. International Super Hits is a pretty cool Greatest Hits because it has like Maria and Pop Rocks and Coke and Jar, which they made for the Angus movie. All great songs, really cool Greatest Hits package if you don't listen to Green Day but you like their hits. And then Shenanigans came out, and I'm not a big fan of Shenanigans. There's like maybe 5 or 6 really good songs on the CD, but it's it's just B-sides and rarity that nobody could ever listen to. If you want to listen to some really good Green Day B-sides and rarities, get Apple Music and listen to the Green Day collection. It has all their albums and has all the tracks they ever released, like Working Class Hero, which was on the John Lennon Darfur collection. They got Governator. They got Hearts Collide, Lights Out. There's so many different songs. I Fought the Law, the cover of that. So many great songs that aren't on their actual record that you can listen to, and it's just amazing. And it's great because I have Apple Music, so it's perfect for me. And after Shenanigans, that came out with, obviously, American Idiot. This bad boy here. And I went to Walmart, got the edited version, because I'm like, I'm not going to listen to it anyway. I'm going to keep it on wrap, so why not just get it, just to have it. And this album is like their first rock opera. What happened with this is everyone already knows, but basically, they had demo tapes of Cigarettes and Valentines. It's supposed to have an album cover similar to this kind of, I guess. It's supposed to have like 2 hands like this, and they're showing like cigarettes in the heart and stuff. But the demo tapes got stolen, and so they had to re-record. Instead of re-recording their older stuff that they were gonna do, they just decided to make a whole new album in like a year, and they came out with American Idiot. And this album obviously was a comeback record. A lot of good tracks on here. It just flows so well. I love when albums can flow really well. This is definitely one of the records that flows like crazy. Some of the best songs are like Jesus Suburbia, American Idiot, Letter Bomb. Now, the only thing that sucks about this record, this is when you start getting to the stuff that's overplayed, like Boulevard of Broken Dreams, Wake Me Up When September Ends, like even American Idiot's overplayed to death. So you don't want to listen to the singles, and you just skip those songs. But you want to listen to the whole album in full because it tells a story, And I won't even listen to the 2014 Kerrang! American Idiot tribute album because I heard that was bad. I don't even want to listen to that. I don't want to get massive ear rape by listening to that shit. So, skipping it. And then we got 21st Century Breakdown, which I kind of already explained, which I love it because of the instrumentals and it got me into Green Day and just the vibes are just, I don't know, the writing I think is better. So we're going to move on to the trilogies, Uno, Dos, and Tres, which I don't own yet either. But those albums, Really good. Like, I mean, I know that people think they're overproduced. There's too many stuff. There's so much stuff to digest. So Uno has 12 tracks, Dos has 13 tracks, and Trey has another 12 tracks. So there's so much stuff to digest, like 37 tracks to actually listen to. You know, and it was supposed to be more of a raw Green Day sound, which they tried to do on like Uno and stuff, but ended up being like overproduced, and people don't like it as much. I still love the trilogy. It is kind of like the weaker album category, but I love Dos. I think Dos is actually my favorite because it got like kind of old rock, kind of like Foxborough Hot Tubs, like their side project vibes and stuff. And Green Day said that you can kind of consider it like a sequel to Foxborough Hot Tubs. And I love it, dude. You got songs like Amy, a tribute to Amy Winehouse because she had died that year or a year before. You have, sorry, my nose is itchy. It keeps getting itchy and shit. You have, Fuck Time, which is a funny song about sex. You have, See You Tonight, which is kind of like a really cool acoustic opener to the album. You have Lazy Bones, which is a nice kind of softer track. And you have Straight Heart, which is about a guy who cheats. So many fun and cool songs on that record. And then you have Trey, which was kind of like the after party. Because basically Uno is like the old, kind of supposed to be like the old style of Green Day. You know, getting to the, like, before the party, getting to the party. You know, stuff like Kill the DJ, which is a really good, probably one of the best songs on the record. And the whole trilogy. You know, you have Angel Blue, you have softer stuff. You have the single Oh Love, which is another one of my favorite tracks. And then you have Doth, which is basically the fun album, the fuck everything up and fuck everybody album. And then you have Trey, which is the after party, kind of cooling down and realizing what you did, maybe regretting a few things that you've done, and just kind of cooling off. And that album is another good one. It's probably my least favorite in the whole trilogy, but there's a lot of good stuff. Like you have Brutal Love, which is kind of a slow burner track. It's very slow, but then it gets really heavy towards the end. You have a rock opera track on there, kind of like Jesus of Suburbia, called Dirty Rotten Bastard, which is a really cool track, which they couldn't get away from it. Even on the trilogy, they did a track like that. You have XK, which is pretty cool. You have The Forgotten, which was in the Twilight movie soundtrack, but the video is really cool for it. And then now, finally, they came out with the single Bang Bang after like 3 years of, kind of problems in the band. Mike and his wife, I think, had cancer and stuff like that, and Billy was going through problems, and, Trey Cool was going through problems. And we finally have Bang Bang, the new single, and it's awesome. It's like a straight up punk rock anthem. I think it's a perfect single for this record to come out. It tells people that Green Day are back. They're back with their, newish, oldish sound, doing something different, going back to that old school punk that they finally wanted to do with Uno and Dos and Trey, but kind of got lost in their way. And the album comes out October 7th. Now, the album's called Revolution Radio. And that's an awesome title. It actually kind of, like, the album cover and the vibe kind of reminds me of 21st Century Breakdown. Now, obviously, it's not going to sound like that. But I feel like this album is going to have that same kind of vibe. Plus, I think it's going to sound like Insomniac. They might actually kind of go for, like, darker Insomniac tone. So it's going to be like a mixture of, like, American Idiot and 21st Century Breakdown writing with the slow, like, the darker, faster tracks of Insomniac. And that'll be a great combo to have for a 12-track album. Now, we're still at, like, another track or two. But other than that, I've seen the track listing on Apple Music, because you can actually preview the track listing. The track listing looks solid. Now, apparently the only softest song on the album is going to be a song called Ordinary World. The last track can be like a ballad type of song, kind of like The Forgotten. And what I like about Bang Bang is that it's basically, Billy Joe wrote the song like in the mind of a psycho killer. And he actually wrote the song, like a whole thing about that. He actually had to stop writing the song at one point because he was freaking himself out. That's how like devoted they are to this record. I thought the lyric video and everything, it's awesome. I can't wait for the actual video to come out for the song. I'm hoping it'll actually be a really good video and a quality video, because they haven't done really good quality videos in a while either. They even do a lot of videos for Uno, Dos, and Trey, like maybe 5 videos for like the whole trilogy, when they could have made a lot more. But they were going through hard times after that, because Billy Joe had to go to rehab and stuff like that. And it was a crazy time for Green Day, but now Green Day are back, and they're going to be coming out with a new album October 7th. I cannot wait. I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts on Green Day. Why my favorite band, especially right now, especially now that their album's coming out, and I've been listening to them hardcore lately. And I think they're just amazing. I think they're, again, overly hated. People thought they sold out. I don't think they did. Again, I'm not a total fanboy, but I do love their music. I think they're one of the best bands to ever live. Like 20 years, 50 years from now, we'll still be listening to like 21st Century Breakdown, Dookie, American Idiot, even Insomniac, even some tracks off of Warning. You know, people will still be listening to Green Day and be like, wow, these guys were a great band long after they're in the dirt. You know, when I'm 80 years old, I hope I'm still listening to Green Day because they're just so awesome. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts on my second installment of this series I'm going to be doing on Green Day. I'll see you guys around, and thanks for watching, and I appreciate you guys subscribing. Have a great day. Peace.